Welcome back, you guys. It's another episode 12, by the way, of your favorite American Lunchbox podcast. Woo! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to American Lunchbox podcast. You guys, thank you so much for stopping in. As always, we like to say thank you guys for listening. For those of you who are coming back, and for those of you all who listen for the first time, thank you for your support. And please do us a good solid and come back and join us next time. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the download button. Show us your love. Give us a comment and tell us how well or shitty we are doing. Whatever you think is good. Thank you so much, guys. Let's talk about what we got here today. We got a crew. We got the Lunchbox crew. Let's talk about it. On this side over here, we have Tim. Say what's up, Tim.
What up? My dog says hi.
Yep. Don't worry about that.
Gotta love them.
We love the animals.
We
love the animals. And
Perfect
on this
timing.
side over here, we have Cruz.
Good morning, George.
Good morning to you both. It's been a week, you guys. Thank you guys for showing up here again and to talk shit with me and talk shop and chop and whatever else. But we had a week this week.
What happened? Did something happen? I've been keeping track.
we'll
Something about the president? I don't know.
Okay, well, let's go back to the last podcast, guys. For those of you all who didn't watch the podcast, which was last week, episode 11, jump back over there and you'll see that we had a semi-live show talking about what would be the debate of the first presidential for 2020, and we had a time with that, you guys. We realized that we are in a situation where we are having a communication issue. Sounds like a divorced couple up there, but we went through it. But as it would be, your president, Mr. Trump himself, as it would be, the day after of that debate, after getting so much criticism, and after destroying, basically, in my opinion, the debates with all of the hackling, this guy seems to again take the air out of the world this time, with reports coming in left and right of him having the coronavirus. Of course, no one believed it at first. Did you guys believe this shit at first when you first saw it?
I believed it, but I thought that if he was lying, this would be Eric Cartman levels of gameplay.
Yeah, I didn't put it past him initially. I thought, this is him just playing the American public. It's a publicity stunt. But after everybody else has gotten COVID in his inner circle, it's like, no, that definitely sounds like it's real.
And with that being said, yes, it was definitely confirmed by the White House. As you can tell, because for you guys who don't know, we chat all week on text message. So we go back and we talk shit with each other all week about this. And so when this came up, of course, I said, nope, I don't want to hear about it until the White House confirms it. And Chris was saying, no. And then Tim was, and then all of a sudden I said, oh, confirmed. And it all came within like literally a 10-minute time frame where all of this stuff was confirmed. He and his wife, unfortunately does have the COVID and they are dealing with it now. So let's talk about how that affects things, because there are a couple of things obviously that you all know about that we've talked about already. How does this then affect? First of all, let's look at the sentiment. There's been mixed sentiment. How do you all feel about this? Tim, what say ye about how you feel about the president of the United States, aka Trump? How do you feel about him actually contracting the COVID disease?
Torn. On one end, it's as far as Trump getting it, it's good for him because he's been bad mouthing it for months. He's been bad mouthing science and bad mouthing denying the coronavirus pandemic and at every step that he can. On the other end, it's the presidency. And it's like, I don't want to see that happen because it creates instability, creates, doubt in the stock market. It creates it's a national security issue. So, yeah, it's kind of torn on that one. I know when I know as a good person and good moral person, I'm supposed to not root for anybody to die or anything like that. But there was a part of me when I saw the helicopter leaving for Bethesda, for Walter Reed, I just sat there and thought, don't come back. Please don't come back.
Tim, you are the Iceman, Tim. Iceman, Tim, guys.
And
I
the
don't
look
know
on
what you
Chris's
guys are
face
going to
is
call him, but
priceless.
I'm going to call him the Iceman from now on. Okay, Chris, what do you think, brother?
I have a lot of thoughts. What do I think about that he went in there?
No,
I
what
think
do I
that
think?
I
What
think
do you
that this
think
has
about him
been
getting
his.
the
I
COVID?
think that this whole situation with coronavirus has just absolutely been his kryptonite. It's just incredible how the promise that he definitely couldn't keep or had failed so many times to keep, was healthcare, and just because no one knew what to do with it, and this is a healthcare crisis, in which, cockiness and bravado actually for once could not help him. But he can't help but to double down on it. He just cannot help it. He cannot help to continue to make a show of it. And it's incredible how it aligns with the election so close. And it's incredible how this would not raise his poll numbers. It might not. Just because of the fact that, like Tim is saying, he's been so on the counter side of any intuitive knowledge with this. Look, I think there's a great, and I think Trump has been great at times saying, like, you know what, fuck the normal way of doing things. Let's try it a different way, or let's try it the opposite way. It might produce better results than the way we're doing, which has become lame and uninspired. But in this case, the expert knowledge was the way to go, and unfortunately, if you don't allow those people even into your inner circle, you end up with situations like this where the pride of these people is now hurting themselves and potentially others.
Chris, that was well said. But what is your personal sentiment about this? I mean, what are you feeling about this?
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm 100% rooting for him. Hope he gets better. I'm not a #hater like Tim.
Yeah, which I can understand. I can understand both perspectives, by the way, because one thing is for sure is that, I'm a big proponent of, the spiritual versus the human, and I've talked about this on this show quite a bit when it comes to certain things. And so first, on the human level, we don't want anyone to contract this because guys, I've had many conversations about this over the last week, and whether I like your politics or not is politics. Whether it has nothing to do with your human existence on this planet. So for me, my first thought is, of course, I don't want any, because how can I wish for something for someone else that I don't want to wish for myself?
Right.
So I can't do that. I can't say, oh, I'm glad he had it. But then, because in turn, the universe will look at me and say, well, if you think he got it, guess what's coming down the pipe? Mm-hmm. If not you, maybe someone else that you love, or So I don't play those games when it comes to the human aspect of it, and especially in regards to politics, because I don't care. And I've said this on this show before. The coronavirus doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It has no bearing. It is unforgiving. It's just like if you hit a pole with your car. The pole doesn't care what car it is. It's going to wreck it regardless. And it's the same thing with the COVID. So let me just get that out first in regards to how I feel about that. Secondly, though, I can still understand what Tim is saying about how it seems very
poetic.
Poetic.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It seems very poetic that the person that is in the largest seat at the table, that has been not even acknowledging it on a level that is outside of the deaths and the apologetics attitude toward people's lives, but the science side of it, it just seems very poetic that he would get it, that he and his wife would get it, and I just think that how the universe works, it doesn't seem surprising to me, and for that reason, I'll say I understand how both of you all feel about this. But here's the other thing. Where there's a cause, there's the opposite where there's an effect, there's an opposite where there is an action, there's an opposite and direct reaction. Where there's a cause, there's an effect. Because now this is affecting everything. Because people are even asking, did he have the COVID during the debate?
Honestly, yeah, George, that's the part that bothers me more than even the way he handled the COVID, or even the fact that he wants to be tough against the COVID or anything. Is it's so crazy, like it's no other better way to say it, the lying over this, or the fact that you think you should keep things from the public to like protect them. I don't want to be protected. Give me all the info.
Yeah. Exactly. And how's the government protecting me by not giving me the information? I never understood that concept either. It's like you're protecting me by keeping me. So you're telling me ignorance is bliss? No, ignorance is death.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned. So keeping me out of the loop.
And he's doubling down on that right now. He's completely doubling down, where he sits there and, him and his press conferences and the tweets. It's like, oh, everything's great, and he's making a full recovery, and he feels 30 years younger, and everything's fine. Don't look over here. Everything's great. And it's like it's just the same. It's just the same old stuff. It's like we know we're never going to get any truth out of this person, ever.
Or the truth will, or the mistruths will be things that either don't make sense, or like there was a big problem in 2016 is that people thought Hillary lied on a massive level, but Trump would lie about, like, my crowd size wasn't 10,000, it was 12,000. Who gives a shit? It's like those little lies that are like ego protection lies, but in this case, in the case where the president being sick has implications for everyone else, those ego lies are magnified by 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think every politician lies. I think it's just in their nature. But I think it just there's lies and little white lies, and I mean, there's things that they do that they have to. I guess they're not going to sit there and say, oh yeah, we're gonna. If somebody in the press, asks the president a question or something, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to attack Syria tomorrow," you don't want to say that and give away your national security. But
right.
But there are certain times where it's like, yeah, we really don't want you to lie. We want you to be straight with us. Maybe you don't have all the information, but tell us what you know. Be straight up with us.
With that being said, I would take this over the Bush administration, because this is not starting any wars. This is just like, huh? What? The Trump administration is full of these moments like, wait, why? Who? What happened? See, and there was no reason for any of this. I'll take that over. Hey, there's this massive lie that is screwing you, and it's all administrations that do that too. Like, so other than the COVID thing, like the wackiness of the Trump administration, I'm not offended by. But this is kind of offensive, and this is probably what will do him in the election if it. George, can I say a couple funny little observations I noticed about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. I mean, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, one thing that was shocking when I saw him in the hospital was that you kind of forget that Donald Trump is white. Because he's orange all the time.
That's
right.
right.
And he didn't have the makeup on.
That's right.
You kind of think of him as like a cartoon character, a Simpsons character or something, because he looks and acts cartoony, and his skin tone is that way.
That's right.
And you think of him as an orange human, which doesn't exist in the real world.
Yeah, I mean,
like that color doesn't exist in humans.
He has actually coined or trademarked that color. It's a patent.
Wow.
The Trump color.
Trump orange.
It's so unnecessary too.
Listen, and it reminds me of when Michael Jackson started to change his color. It reminded me of that. It's like because he went through phases of his transformation, of him being who he was before he passed. But I look at Trump and I say, I remember when you were white. I remember when I see pictures of you as a white man, and now I see pictures of you, and it's on purpose, by the way. This is something that this is how he has coined himself, and as the orange man. He's not black, he's not white, he's orange. What the fuck is that all about? But again,
He says
digress.
it's the camera. He says his television makes him look orange.
It's not the camera because no one else on the screen is orange. So that's a lie, Tim. Because no one else on the screen is orange. I don't know. I mean, we work in the television industry. We understand CMYK. We understand RGB. There is no RGO. There's no orange in there.
Let me get all orangey. There we go. Now I'm orange. There we go. That's better.
But everything else behind you is also orange as well. So you could change it back to your natural blue colors or whatever you had before, Tim. Thank you very much for that illustration. That was awesome, by the way. For those of you all who want to see what just happened, jump over to the YouTube station, type in American Lunchbox Podcast, and you'll see Tim just turn himself orange, look like your president. But I digress. I think that Trump. I'm sorry. You had another point, though. You had a couple of points. One point is that he used to be white. I'm sorry.
The other thing is, part of the reason I was really concerned for him is that, if you've ever been in a real low place and eaten, say, like McDonald's twice in a row, or twice in a in like a sort of small window, you'd know what that feels like.
Right.
And even me, who has a good amount of girth, tries to fill up on good food. But the fact that Trump not only eats McDonald's twice in a row, but consistently, is super worrying, considering that the level of coronary issues he could have, plus the virus. Like, he is exponentially in greater danger than someone who didn't have his who gives a shit lifestyle.
That's right, but he had to pass the physical. So whatever he's doing, he has to pass the physical.
Yeah, but those doctors are who knows what those guys.
Exactly. But just to throw that out there, he does have to pass the physical. But you're absolutely right. And what it does also do
does he have to pass a physical?
You do, yes.
That's actually a requirement, or
it's a requirement for the president to pass the physical.
Didn't he hire Michael Jackson's old doctor for that?
Well, I don't know if he was out of jail after he killed him, so we got to look that up.
Yeah, I don't remember that in the Constitution. If you fail a physical, then you get impeached. I don't know if that really.
No, but there are physical requirements.
Well, yeah.
There are physical and health requirements.
Well, I think he has to take a physical. No. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, I think some of the numbers that they put out there by that Ronnie Jackson guy or whatever, they were forged or whatever. And,
no, it was the 35th Amendment. Nothing above a regular quarter pounder.
There it is right there. Look it up, Tim. I mean, it's written in cursive, right at the
no supersize.
Right in cursive at the bottom.
People have argued about this amendment because supersize is 2 words instead of 1, and what does that mean?
Oh man,
is there a comma in the middle somewhere?
It's semantics, guys. Semantics. Wordplay. But it's in there. Like ragu, it's in there. But here's the other part that I thought was interesting about this as well. When people start looking at the timeline, it was a huge argument by Trump and his wife not to wear masks. It was a huge argument during the debates. They didn't want to wear masks, right? And now we're looking at the timeline, and both of them had probably at this point had the COVID during the debates. Yeah. So
I don't know if they knew.
He could have
I hope they didn't know.
Yeah, who knows? Because the timing of this is now. I mean, believe me, I would not put it past any of what we're talking about. Somebody knew that he was sick. Somebody knew it. Somebody saw his behavior because he was looking a little more orange than usual.
I thought he looked sweaty during the debate. That was just me.
I thought he did too.
I just chalked it up.
Sweaty with that behavior.
I just chalked it up to the lights and in his makeup or whatever. But I thought he looked a little sweaty.
I thought he did too. I thought he looked a little strange, but it was nothing. It was nothing to comment on.
A little sweaty.
To me, that just looked like a comic who's got a plan and it's not executing well. There was no crowd there to cheer on the wild accusations, so. He's kind of dying without the audience a little bit.
So what does this do now for politics? So now, even though we're not necessarily talking about this as if we know what the results are, tomorrow is going to be the vice president debate for Pence and Kamala Harris. Now, is this important, Tim?
I mean, there's definitely going to be some weight on it now because obviously people are looking at whether or not who's qualified to take over. You've got Biden, who's 2 years older than Trump, and you've got of course Trump, who was recently in the hospital. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit more weight on this one now, but I doubt it. It'll be entertaining, but I don't think it'll be the fireworks that you had with the.
You gonna think this is gonna be entertaining by looking at boring ass Pence?
No.
That thing is going. Oh my God, that's not gonna be entertaining. That's gonna be politics as usual.
That's
man.
what I'm saying. I don't think it'll be entertaining. I don't think it'll be that entertaining. I mean,
I guess the one interesting part is that you have Trump, who plays right wing, and Biden, who a lot of people think plays left wing, and now their potential successors, because they are old and sick, are someone who, in Kamala Harris, who was raised going to protest, versus Pence, who's Mr. Bible Camp. So the implications of how contrasted these two are and the fact that this might matter this time is somewhat relevant, even though the debate might be.
Okay. Whoa. Wait a minute. Stop the press. Chris, you touched the buzzword right there. You said it might matter. Hold on. That word matter and that word might together means there's an implication in there. What is the implication that you're talking about, my friend? It might matter. What do you mean by that?
One of these people might be the president in 10 days or in 30 days or whenever Joe Biden, unfortunately, whatever.
Now,
I don't want to be negative.
But you want to be truthful.
We shouldn't forget that Biden is also potentially going to go in his term, regardless of if he gets COVID or not, or if Trump does.
Yeah, I mean,
we got really old people here in the line of succession. Like, everyone's old.
If Biden does 2 terms, he'll be 82 or 83, I think, by the time this thing is over for him. I mean, you going back now to FDR. You're going back now to a president. We went from the youngest sitting president to possibly the oldest sitting president. Mm-hmm. And this is why I say things are going to go right back. What I think will go right back to politics as usual, because these are the choices now that we're making. Only have 2 choices.
Old white guy versus old white guy. Old crazy white guy versus old crazy white guy.
I think that's going to be the title of the show, because you figure. I mean, what are your choices here, Chris? What say you?
I had a question that I forgot to bring up the last time we talked about Harris. For you, George.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think it's weird that the Democrat Party, as much as they put up black candidates to say, like, oh, look, this is black people ascending to the great heights, that neither Obama or Kamala Harris are descendants of slavery? American slavery?
Well, I tell you what. They were. Because every black person that has been in the United States are a part of what is called the 3 or the triangular voyage. Okay, Kamala's father is from Jamaica, who had some of the worst slavery in history, because there was what we call absentee landlordism. There were not people who actually lived there who were considered colonials. So they got the most brutal slavery, unlike necessarily what happened here in the United States, which was more humane slavery. As far as Obama is concerned, he has his ancestors themselves, also from Africa, was from West Africa, which is where the majority of the slaves came from. And
that doesn't sound too well for him then, because I mean, there was people who got sold off and people who sold off people.
Yeah, but again, remember, in the beginning practices, one thought it was what slavery was in that region. And after people began to understand what that slavery looked like in America, white Americans began to steal and enslave the people who made the deals. So originally, they actually took the chiefs because they realized that there was some pushback. So when you're looking at the history of what happens when you take the strongest, men and women away from a portion of a certain land. It makes that land vulnerable. Hence comes colonialism of Africa. And in 1857, what we call the Berlin Conference, where they cut up Africa. And they said, Europe, England, you take this, Italy, you take this, you take this, and so they cut up Africa and they put lines in and created the actual countries so that they too would be colonized, but in a different way. So they all, even though they may not have had descendants here from the United States, was a part of the American slavery process.
But you're super educated on this, but you don't think that Kamala has less street cred?
She has unfortunately, growing up in the United States, it doesn't matter because you black. I don't care what you thinking. I don't care. You black, bro. It ain't got nothing to do with street cred.
She's still she's still a minority, whether or not you can trace her ancestry back to Africa or slavery or any of the plantations.
Okay, so then the issue is with the DNC. Is there something that they have against? I mean, it just seems 2 for 2 that the people have not come from American slavery.
I don't think that they even think like that. I think they're opportunists, just like the rest of them. The parties
just who's hot at the moment, and this just happens to be that these two that are in similar situations got hot.
It's really about the timing. All of this is about timing. Politics is about time. You think Joe Biden was the most qualified person
but he never
to
got
represent
hot.
the Democratic Party in 2020? Do you think that Donald Trump was the most qualified person to be so it's all about timing.
Yeah. Right place, right time. Agree.
But now one more question before we leave this topic. All right? Because we're talking about the president having COVID, by the way. Now, we know that the president needs to have a certain amount of, let's say, attention. He's been very quiet. And he doesn't know how it feels to not have the enthusiasm of his fan base or his constituents. Call them whatever you want to call them, the Trumpers, as they call them, right? I'm curious to see if this will hurt his momentum as he goes into it, and does he really have any control over it now that he's sick? Is it right now we're looking at maybe an opening for the Democratic Party to jump in here while he's sick in order to grab some of the momentum?
Seems like Biden played the situation perfectly so far.
Yeah, the poll numbers seem to go up. I mean, I think it was neck and neck there for a little while, and then next thing I know, I'm seeing polls that got Biden up by 10 points. So it's like, I guess he's doing better then.
This was a great opportunity for Trump to go away for a couple weeks and let people feel bad about it.
I agree.
And sympathize with him, but
I agree.
By him constantly feeling the need to get in front of the media with messaging, which is not even consistent, it doesn't give the ability for people to look at Biden. And with the way our politics currently works, whoever gets the focus is usually whose poll numbers go down. But Trump, in his desperate need for attention, is potentially sabotaging himself out of 4 years of more attention.
Right. By the way, I speaking of the media and their coverage and everything, I think the best coverage that I've seen in the last couple of days was from Inside Edition. Now, usually I'm not a big fan of tabloid journalism at all, but they did a thing where they were sitting there analyzing Trump, and they were showing the metadata from the photos that were released by the White House, showing that they were like 10 minutes apart, and they were trying to fake it, trying to show that, oh, Trump is really working hard over here, but it was obviously that they were staged. But Inside Edition sat there and they were analyzing things that nobody else was even talking about. They're like, oh, it appears here that Trump is citing some paperwork, but we can tell it's like blank pages. And I was just like, and their typical Inside Edition type editing, and it was just so great. I was laughing my ass off.
Well, I got a little get well card that I got for Trump right here. President Trump, please get well soon. Remember, there's a lot more for you to do. There's more spray tan to be tanned. There's more pussies to grab, more lawsuits to be hit with, more hostile book authors to chat with for 20 hours on the phone, and of course, more MAGA rallies to MAGA. So please get well soon.
Woo! There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Which brings us to what entertains us most. You guys, you know we are in the television film industry. We've done great projects together. We work for some great companies and some bad companies. But today, guys, I'm here to announce that we're in the fall season of television, guys. The premieres are starting, and they are looking a little weird. Let me just set the stage for you. We're obviously in the COVID, and we are dealing with the social distancing, and more importantly, now we're dealing with the political correctness of how we're going to move forward because of all of what needs to happen with creating group settings, as far as studios are concerned. So in the spookiest way or in the funniest way that you could possibly imagine, some shows have decided to take it back to the 80s. What do I mean by that? By mimicking and going back to one of the oldest running shows on television. And you all know what that show is. Can you give me a guess at what the oldest running show on television is from the 80s?
Press?
Yes, Meet the Press.
Meet the Press? No, negative. Not Meet the Press. Good answer, though. Let me give you a hint. It's an animation.
The Simpsons.
Yes, The Simpsons. So,
I've never heard someone talk that excitedly about The Simpsons in 20 years, but go on.
It's not me that's excited about it. It's me that's using it as an example because I'm just amazed now that your shows like, for example, Blackish, you're right? The show decided to go to an animated preview of itself in order to get into the numbers block of television. So if you look at the show, it looks like the black version of The Simpsons or the black version of South Park. More likely The Simpsons, though. But the thing about it is that we are now looking at how maybe television is going to be evolving over the next season. Are these going to be Emmy-winning shows again? What say ye, guys?
Well, I don't know what awards they're gonna win, and I hope we don't have to do a segment next year about the Emmys again. But there's a lot of improvements.
Well, you're gonna be on the red carpet. We're gonna go on the red carpet next year.
We'll be animated.
I'm so happy to be here with there's a lot of improvements that have come about in the world of animation in terms of the expediency at which you could do things. One of which is programs like Adobe Character Animator, which allows you to speak, and the program takes a flash animation that has a certain mouth movements and animates your movements to create somewhat of a wireframe to get a character talking live. And we've seen it on the Stephen Colbert show with the Trump character, is that you could have someone essentially backstage moving their mouth, and then the character moves their mouth, chopping out tons of hours of animation work. One of the downsides is that animation is uncompressed video, ProRes 4444. So one of the hard parts about, the easy part about animation is that you can be separate, and you can technically achieve such a thing, but the file sizes are so huge that people are now trying to create stripped down backgrounds and less detail, or things that are easier to compress, which probably is not better for animation. There's just going to be more of it.
Well, now for those of you all who are listening to the show for the first time or have actually listened to the show before, that is Chris talking shop. You see, now he used a whole bunch of jargon, a whole bunch of fancy words, but basically what he's saying is that though it takes faster time to actually create this, the quality is so high that no one's going to be able to produce this fast enough or get it out fast enough for it to actually be good. It's going to look horrible. It may sound horrible. But what I would suggest that you guys do who are listening out in podcast land or actually looking here at YouTube, just go and rewind this part and really listen to what he's saying, because it's good information for you guys who are interested in joining the whole animation business or entertainment business. Did you want to say something else?
Well. Plus the other thing too is I've been seeing promos online for like NCIS and various other primetime shows that are coming back, and they're showing behind the scenes. So they're coming back. I mean, they're coming back into production. I mean, I think if you actually sit there and talk about filmmaking, if you look at it, like especially television, it's like a vast majority of the shots are over the shoulder or just people talking, and it's like with camera angles and editing, you could people don't even have to be in the same room to sit there and actually film some of these scenes. So I think it's very doable. Now they'll cut down some stuff. They'll adjust scripts. They'll adjust storylines where maybe they won't have as many love scenes, or they're not going to have as many people touching and whatever. But adjustments will be made. There's just too much money involved in paying these actors and paying people. They can't pay them to stay at home. So they're going to sit there and make product.
But here's the other thing though. But what about all the other industries involved in this as well? Because I mean, what about extras? You're not going to have any more extras out there. There are people who actually make a living at being extras on television. That's what they do. But you're not gonna have any extras walking through the screen anymore. Right. What about craft services, and what about line producers, or I mean not line.
Well, craft services. I mean, you can. I mean, we
location stuff.
Craft services. That's called Amazon and Grubhub. I mean, that's you can just drop the stuff off, and here you go. You just won't have. Facts. You're right. I mean, you're right. There's definitely gonna have to be.
Hey, that is true. I've noticed I've started paying for my own Pop-Tarts since this lockdown started.
No,
I don't get a stipend for that either.
Oh, do you miss going into the office? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, if I'm gonna eat trash, I'd prefer it be free.
Well, hey, hold on, but with all real entertainment set aside, there's also something that's called just fucking funny. That's what this next segment is going to be called, because. Have you guys had the opportunity to watch the premiere episode of South Park, which is called the Pandemic Special? It's an hour-long special. For those of you all who are in podcast land or on YouTube station, if you've never seen this show before, this would be a great way of seeing it for the first time, and it's raw. If you have not seen this show before and you're curious about the show, I would suggest that you not watch it, because if it's going to be crude. But if you have not seen the show and you guys get what I'm saying. This show is going to be, it's so fun. It is so funny, and it's so crude, and it's so wonderful. What have you guys watched it?
Oh, several times.
Yes.
Okay. Several times. Okay, Chris, tell me what your first. Tell me what you feel about this show in the entertainment segment of American Lunchbox podcast. What do you think about the premiere of the show?
Well, first I'll talk about the show itself. South Park is a king of animation, still is, and the animation is crude, but they have their own unique style, which unfortunately some of these new programs are making some of these new shows kind of all seem the same. And no offense to you, Tim, but I know you like Big Mouth. But I find some of these newer shows like that, and Rick and Morty, I'll get hate for this, but I don't think it's... I think these new shows are a little too spastic. I think the magic of the original Simpsons and the South Parks of the world is that they are good with storytelling and pacing. And there's almost no like down moments or calm moments in some of the new animation. But South Park is, because the guys who make it are creatively geniuses, is able to not only produce good storytelling, but also turn around things rather quickly, not as quick as they used to, which is a good thing, but also tie it into modern things of what's going on, and really, instead of just mocking the politics of the day, really touch on the inside core of what's going on. And one example of that is the chin diapers from the show. How everyone was wearing their mask around their chin. They hit on something that's real, and not just against Trump. It's that, walk out here on Venice Boulevard, you'll see a lot of chin diapers if you see them at all. Is that there is something within us that don't want to be told what to do. We've touched on that before, but it's really a personal accountability thing. And that has macro level repercussions, but it also has micro level repercussions, and that's why South Park has always been a fantastic show. It's because it's taken the small town, what affects you, and shown the larger scale implication and how you tie together to your larger society.
Yeah, I think they've always had their finger on the pulse of America and pop culture. I mean, they've been able to sit there and just kind of take America, take its little quirks, and be able to sit there and be able to analyze it and show it off. And I mean, they're absolutely brilliant, I think, at what they do. Now, I think a lot of people sit there and see South Park and think, oh, it's crude humor, it's fart jokes, it's Cartman doing Cartman things, and they just brush it off. But I mean, I think Chris was the one who brought me back into watching it, because I stopped watching it for a little while, and Chris was talking about how great it was, and so we started watching it and started commenting on it. I go, oh my god, this is really, really good.
And I'm not just a sycophantic fan of the show. There was a period of time where the show definitely took a downbeat from like the end of the 2000s till whenever that season where Randy became Lord, where they started going slightly serialized with the show.
Mm-hmm.
That the show did take a down dip. So if you were going to go back and watch the whole catalog, there are seasons where they were more miss than hit. And part of that was due to the fact that they were just doing once a week productions. They were constantly in a 2-minute offense with no pre-planning, and I think the shit really hit the fan when they had ripped off a joke or two from College Humor, which is kind of bottom of the barrel, no offense to them.
Right.
But for South Park to be ripping off that is like a low point. So, but since then, they're still doing the weekly production turnaround, but they have a little bit more of a advanced knowledge of what they're going to go for. And these last 5 or so seasons have been great. It's been back to... and that's because the creators of the show are still there.
Right. Did kind of bite him in the ass, though, a few seasons ago when Trump actually won the election. They weren't expecting that. They had to sit there and kind of scramble and go, okay, we got to change the storyline around now.
Yeah, they didn't have their finger on the pulse with that one. They were shocked. They were in the shocked camp on that one.
But they weren't the only ones. We all were shocked. Shit. So I can't really blame them. I can't blame
people that voted for Trump said, Did I do what? What happened?
My vote, it really counted.
Wow.
Damn.
Because remember, people used to think, oh,
This
no,
is
there's
really
no way
America.
because... Well, yeah, because remember, there was a conspiracy before that, not to shift too much away from South Park, there was a conspiracy in the country that the stuff was all predetermined, and that kind of shattered that. At least it proved we do have a somewhat functioning democracy or election system.
Yeah, I agree. But let's get back to the South Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
We digress.
Yeah.
You know, let's get back to now. I don't know. This is more than likely this will be a spoiler alert for all of you all who haven't seen it. So spoiler alert for the South Park. For the South Park episode here, first episode of the season here. So first of all, the show is called the Pandemic Special. All right, so just leading in with that, you know already that this show is going to, just hammer on the pandemic and all of what we have been going through for the last, 7 months or so about this pandemic, starting, of course, with the origin. And as it turned out, the origin happened to be, come from, the city South Park has been in. So, and it happened to be one of the characters, actually, and as a famous quote, my wife is going to be. Tim, what did he say, Tim?
My wife's going to be pissed.
What, as he was talking, as the character was talking to Mickey, he said, "What did he say? What did he say?"
He said something like, "If my wife finds out that I started the pandemic, she's going to be pissed." Or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Randy Marsh and Mickey had a drunken night and had sex with some animals that might have carried coronavirus.
In China, with it shown very graphically, them and a wild night, him and Mickey hitting it hard as you do when you go to China. I'm assuming. I don't know. I've been to Asia, but I haven't been to China, Hong Kong particularly, and Senegal. But anyway, so the show starts with the origin, and from there it moves on, obviously, to deal with the other issues. How do you think they deal with what I thought was a favorite issue? And by the way, what happened to Token? Did Token make it or what? By the way, will Token finally show up in another episode? What's up with that?
Yeah, Token, the only token black character in or kid in the school. The police get basically put in charge of teaching because the teachers are on strike with the COVID thing, but the cops need a job because they've been laid off due to the ongoing unrest. So the cops get put in charge as teachers and begin to make the school more militant as it's going on in real life. And there's a scuffle that breaks out between two white kids, and somehow the one black kid that was sitting quietly got shot. Which I knew was coming. Oh, yeah. And still left anyway.
Poor Token sitting. Sitting front seat in the front row. Poor Token. And by the way, the character's name is Token. By the way, that is his name on the show. And poor Token gets shot because the two white kids are fighting next to him, he gets shot, and then of course as we follow the show further, because it is blamed on the COVID that he is going to the hospital. It was due to the COVID, which was a great scene, by the way, guys. I love that scene.
South Park's been really good at hitting both sides. Like one week they'll take a shot at this side or that side, and that's why they have the credibility they do. But this was, they had so much material to work with, and they were from minute to minute attacking one side or the other.
Yes.
So it wasn't an episode focused. It was an episode focused on everyone. Yeah. Everyone was getting hit in this.
And I felt the same way. I felt like it was very balanced. Well, I shouldn't say very balanced, but it was balanced, and it's hitting points going back and forth, Democrat, Republican, and it wasn't necessarily about Trump. It was just about the status and where we are, and a lot of it was just belief and how we believed. When the big argument is when they were trying to get the kids back in school, and the parents start arguing over what would be who's wearing the mask, and that has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans per se, but it's just an issue that the American people. I thought that was great. I thought the whole shit was just like, oh my God, this is perfect.
I love the beginning montage of Cartman sitting there talking about social distancing and singing a song about how he's glad that he doesn't have to go to school. He's got all this freedom. He can sit on the can for hours, and no one's there to bug him. And I think that's kind of a microcosm of how a lot of people felt. It's like, oh, I don't have that commute anymore. This is great. I can go to work in my pajamas. And of course, I love the scene where he's sitting there. He's on a Zoom meeting, and of course he pretends that his video cuts out, and he just puts up a still image of himself so he can just go goof off. And I go, I'm gonna have to try that. That's freaking great.
But I love Cartman's 6 foot pole. I thought that was awesome. That was very, again, good thinking.
Well, they've used Cartman before to say how anxiety could be used to your benefit, just to be an asshole to other people, and this is a perfect thing for people who did want to be. Look, there's security guard at the 99-cent store now has a lot of power. Hey, you're not allowed in here yet. So there's that whole thing, and there is a couple funny little nuances I've noticed from the COVID too. It's like, do you guys think that when someone puts up the mask, that on a weird psychological level is a form of rejection of the other person?
Oh, yes.
Like there's these weird little social nuances.
Listen, but but I understand what you're saying. I do. But here's the ironic part. I felt this way before. I know that feeling already. I know that feeling that you're talking about, because when a person clutches their purse when on the bus, when they see me get on, that's that same feeling. It's like, wait,
yeah.
It's that same feeling like, lady, I don't want what's in your purse, or that feeling of, the security guard is following me in the store because they saw me come in, and now I see them more than they see me all of a sudden. And you were standing at the front door when I came in, but all of a sudden you're around the store. It's that same feeling that I get when I see a person put that mask on. I say,
yeah.
Oh, you think I got it? That thing.
Actually,
there's also a weird.
I've seen that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I've had that same thing where I'm sitting there walking my dogs or something, and I've got my mask on, or I got my mask on my chin. I got the chin diaper going, and I'll sit there and see somebody. It's like, oh, I gotta put my mask on. It's more just so I don't get shamed. It's more so somebody doesn't sit there and think I'm an asshole or anything for not wearing it. But it's I wear it. I don't have any problem with it. I don't think anything of it. No, it's just the new normal. I walked into a store the other day and I forgot I left my mask in my car, and I went back. The security guard looked at me and I go, oh shit, forgot. I gotta put my mask on. So
this is what people do at the hiking trail. It's tight. The spaces, some of the spaces are like 2 feet wide. So you're essentially, this is exactly how almost everyone does it. See the other person coming. Right at the moment contact will be made, mask goes slightly up. Good morning. How are you? I'm good. How are you? That doesn't do it. I don't think. It's a completely pointless thing that we do.
But now it's a social norm. Yeah. We have now seen the evolution right in front of our face of a new social norm created by the COVID. We are now doing things differently as a society. But we're doing it subconsciously, and now we're doing it we're doing it consciously first, and now we're doing it subconsciously. So the question becomes, of course, is when are the subconscious going to automatically make this the norm that whenever we come out of this, we're going to continue to do it. So my question is okay, I'm at this, I'm sitting in Target. Yesterday I go to Target and I noticed that they've added these protective shields around the cash register on both sides. And the first thought I said was, what are they going to do when this shit is over? Are they going to take off all of these shields? And then my other mind said, this shit is never going to be over. They're never going to take these things down. They're going to keep these things up. Yeah, they're going to keep these things up forever. This is our new norm.
Yeah.
So,
I'll give you one crazier than that, George. If you want to feel what hell feels like slightly, I'm being hyperbolic. Go to IKEA. See what's going on at IKEA.
What? Tell me about
You know
IKEA.
about this?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't heard about this.
So I walked into IKEA thinking, let me take a quick walk in and out, as if I was going to Best Buy. But IKEA is a big store, and I don't know if this is due to the COVID, but they built that place into a maze. Meaning, they don't want people to go aisle to aisle, and maybe this place has always been like this.
It has always been a maze.
like that.
It's always been.
Oh, it's always been like that. Okay, I
it's always
stumbled
been a
into
maze.
it, and I thought it was COVID related.
No.
I got lost in the IKEA. I was trying to get out of there. After 10 minutes, I got bored, and I tried to leave, but I had to continue the maze. And then I tried to take shortcuts to get out of it, and I realized I walked past the same rug multiple times.
Yes.
Okay, this is not, sorry.
Yes.
You could never
And now
leave
the
the
Fake
audience,
news, this is not COVID related.
yeah, now the audience is saying, "Oh, poor baby. What's wrong with that Chris today? Is he okay?" Because I mean, what is going on with him? You know, he's this is his first time this is what the audience is saying right now. Oh, that poor Chris.
Now,
Oh,
Chris,
man.
let me ask you this question
Yeah,
about
first world problems, I guess.
Yeah, let me
First
ask you this
world
question
problem.
though, Chris, about IKEA. Did they have arrows on the floor saying, you have to walk in these directions and these paths? And I mean, they always had kind of arrows on the floor saying, how to get to one department to another. But did they specifically spell out saying, okay, you must walk in this path or what have you for COVID?
Yeah, there was arrows on the floor, and I couldn't find many people that worked there to say, like, how can I get out of here? But then when I picked up something and tried to walk out with it, someone appeared out of nowhere. They're like, that's for display. I said, I don't know how any of this works.
Man, IKEA has always been that way, and for people, there are IKEA people. That's all I got to say. People who just enjoy going to IKEA, having the meatballs and all of this. It's a thing, man. It's a whole culture. I haven't been in there in years, but it is a subculture of a culture. The whole IKEA experience, but anyway, so you guys check out that South Park out there in podcast land. We only gave you guys a little bit of snippet, but it's a great episode. I'm gonna speak for all of us and say we deeply enjoyed it and we thought it was great. As we end this show today, guys, any shout outs for today? Any shout outs? What you guys got for me in shout outs? How we looking?
Oh, I'm going to give a shout out to my mother-in-law for she had an appointment today, so she left so we don't have to see her in the background doing the dishes or making, weird audio inserts. I don't have to edit her out, so I'm very thankful that she had an appointment today, which was great.
Oh, shout out to mother-in-law. Shout out to mother-in-law. Hopefully that won't get you in trouble. I could get you deeper in trouble, but I'm going to let that slide. I'm going to let that slide right there. Shout out to mother. What about you, Chris? Any shout outs today?
George, I had a wonderful Venice Beach moment that took a little while to get into, but if you have a minute, I'll tell you about it.
Let's go.
Okay, so I go down to the handball court wall, and the reason I do that is to throw the baseball, work on my pitching. And it could be loud, but I try to make sure I don't go before 8 a.m. because I understand that people sleep there. They sleep there because the courts got shut down because of social distancing. So the absurdity of people now sleeping there when it was closed down due to people being too close together is another story. Okay, so I get there a little bit later. I get there around 9:20, and I start throwing against the wall. Crack, crack, crack. Guy comes out from which is now becoming a homeless village of sorts, out of the racquetball courts. He comes out like I just woke him up, but he is smoking a blunt, and he is wearing as a shirt the upper half of a gorilla costume. So he says, "Hey man, I know you're out here, but could you give us a little while to wake up? Give us a half hour. Give us 20 minutes. Just give us 10 minutes. We got a guy back there. He's real tired. He had a rough night. You know how we could be in this community." I said, "Are we talking about you?" He said, "No, it's not me. It's not me. It's this guy right back there. He just needs a few minutes. Just give a few minutes to wake up." I said, "You know what? Okay. 10 minutes? You got 10 minutes. I'm honoring your request. Thank you so much. And again, it's not for me. It's for this other guy." Okay. I walk about 200 feet to the north where the police station and the beach is. And I said, okay, here's a wall. And I start pitching against the wall of the police station. Crack. Crack. My message is clear. Please come out here and tell me to stop. I dare you. George, I know that makes you jealous. That I could know that I could get away with such a move.
White privilege, we call it.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, no one comes out, and I said, okay, that's the end of my protest, but now I got to go back and start my day because there's some people who don't want to start their life. Okay. So I go back against the wall. Oh, man, I'm throwing hard. Crack, crack, crack. This guy who was seemingly protecting this other mystery guy, I think he was really talking about himself. Because I see him on a bike with the blunt in hand, with the gorilla costume on, take the fuck off at this point. He woke up. The very same period of time, another guy who's living under the bleachers pops his head up, squinting like I just woke him up. And he's staring at me. I'm like, oh man, I hope this guy didn't come over and tell me to stop. Because keep in mind, I'm talking about a public park. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
So,
That's right.
I get that I'm in like a self-righteous mood about this and all that. And he comes up to me.
But and Chris, I understand what you're saying. You sent me the pictures of how the homeless people have taken over the handball courts. I could not believe it. So I understand. Continue, my friend.
This guy comes up to me. Now, keep in mind, when you're pitching, you're kind of in the zone. So I'm revved up. Plus, I'm more revved up today.
They're hitting the Mets. Getting the Mets. Trying to get your arm ready for the Mets, man. Go ahead.
They'll need me at this rate. So he comes up to me. He says hello, and I go, "Hey, how are you?" He goes, you got great speed, but your wrist is a little tight. Let's loosen up that wrist. We could put a few more MPHs. You get some real good heat out of that." Guess what? He was completely right. For the next half hour, he sat right behind me and corrected me on every pitching flaw I had. Your knees are too close together. You're not putting your back into enough on the after you release the ball.
Are
Try
you
this.
serious?
Yeah.
And that man
He was absolutely right.
And that
so
man was
shout
the
out
former
to the man.
And that man was the former pitching coach of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Shout out to the guy who gave me fantastic pitching advice, and that is why I continue, despite all its issues, I love Venice.
Well, spoken like a true resident and a true lover of the beach, man. Because that beach side, I don't even know what it's called now. I don't know if it's it's the boardwalk. I don't even know. It's just been taken over by the homeless. And that's
we got to have a longer conversation about that.
And that's a conversation, of course, for another podcast. But it needs to be talked about as well and put out into the digital land. And I know other people have talked about it, but they haven't talked about it in a Lunchbox podcast kind of way like we would. So we need to put it out there, guys. Well, anyway, no shout outs for me. I'm going to save my shout outs for the next show. But in the meantime, you guys, in between time, you guys have yourself a super fine time. Thank you guys so much for coming and showing up and showing out as always. Sending you guys, of course, peace and love. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
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 American Lunchbox Podcast.